Your brain is currently cashing checks for a life you haven't built yet. Every time you imagine that perfect future self, the one who's fit, wealthy, and magically waking up at 5 a.m. without hitting snooze, you're getting a hit of dopamine that you didn't earn. And that quiet little reward, that warm glow of possibility, that's exactly why you're still sitting on the couch. You've been paid in full for a job you never clocked in for. And if you've ever felt like you're standing at the edge of a diving board, looking down at a pool of everything you want, but your feet are glued to the rough surface, you're not a failure, you're not lazy, you've just fallen for one of the most sophisticated scams your own brain has ever run on you. Let's break down the mechanism. There's a circuit in your brain called the default mode network. It's where you go to daydream, to plan the novel, to mentally rehearse the acceptance speech for the award you haven't won. And here's the cruel biological irony. When you visualize success in high-definition detail, your brain releases the reward chemical before you've done the work. You've tricked your nervous system into feeling satisfied with the ghost of the achievement. Psychologists call this symbolic self-completion. You buy the expensive running shoes, you follow the productivity gurus, you tell people about the big secret project, and in doing so, you start to wear the identity without earning the evidence. You've confused the blueprint with the building. You're living in the architectural rendering of your life, and the foundation hasn't even been dug. But why do some people stay stuck in this blueprint for years? This is the part most people won't admit out loud. It's not a lack of talent, it's actually a byproduct of a specific kind of intelligence. People who dream big and do nothing are often exceptionally good at threat simulation. They are smart enough to see every obstacle. They don't just see the finish line, they see the 47 ways the market could crash, the 12 ways they could look stupid, the 3 ways they could lose money they don't even have yet. Their brain isn't just a dreamer, it's a disaster prevention agency running on overdrive.
You have a high agency mind trapped in a safety-first body. You're capable of building empires. You have the cognitive horsepower to run a multinational corporation in your imagination, but you're behaving like a tenant in your own life because you're terrified of getting a C grade on the first draft. You're so used to being the smart one in the room, the idea of being the messy, clumsy beginner in the arena feels like a death sentence. And the cost? The cost is self-trust erosion. Every night you promise tomorrow, and every morning you break that promise to yourself. You stop believing your own word. You become a person who doesn't follow through on commitments made in the quiet of their own mind. That's not just procrastination. That's a quiet, slow-moving grief. You're not mourning the life you don't have. You're mourning the person you haven't allowed yourself to become. So how do you break a loop that feels this tight? You have to intentionally break the perfection. The dream is too big, and that's the problem. The mountain is paralyzing, so stop looking at the mountain. Look at the pebble. The psychology of action is not about finding a burst of motivation. It's about shrinking the threat to zero. You don't need to write the novel. You need to write one sentence so bad, so ugly, that no publisher would ever touch it. You don't need to become a fitness model. You need to put on your shoes and stand outside for 4 minutes in the rain. You need to be willing to be cringe. Because the moment you produce something, anything in the real world, you have evidence, and evidence changes identity. You stop being someone who dreams of writing. You start being someone who writes bad sentences. That version of you living in the future, they aren't going to magically descend and save you. You have to walk into the mud to meet them. And the first step is always, always smaller than your ego wants it to be. So here's what I want you to do. Don't just scroll past this. I want you to leave a comment with your ugly first sentence. Not the polished pitch, not the grand vision, just the messy, imperfect, awkward first step you're taking today. Write it down, hit send. Let it exist in the world as evidence that you started. I'll be down there in the comments replying to the messiest ones, because that's where the real work begins. Not in the perfect dream, in the ugly, glorious, imperfect action.